great meeting you. It must be nice being in front of a dumb American audience who applaud you because they have no idea how hated and incompetent you actually are. So welcome to America.
Glad to be here. Glad to be here.
Now, so do all Canadians hate you?
Yes, they do.
Good. Just
yes,
make sure you know.
Well, we do might be part of why I'm here.
Exactly. Is that because you literally shut down people's bank accounts in 2022 like a dictator might?
Well, as many know, my real father is Fidel Castro, one of the greatest authoritarians of the 20th century.
I don't think so.
Oh, okay. No, it's true. You see, my father was the prime minister during the 1970s, and my mom wasn't a huge fan of his, similar to how all Canadians hate me. So she was cheating on him quite a bit. She would hang out at Studio 54 here in New York City. She banged Mick Jagger famously. And shortly before I was born, she snuck down to Havana to get smashed by my biological father, Fidel. And then I was born 9 months later. Just look at a side-by-side photo of me and Fidel Castro. The resemblance is uncanny. That's where I think I get my authoritarian nature from.
That actually makes a lot of sense. Comedian Shane Gillis just performed in Toronto last week, and while doing an impersonation of Drumpf, he called you the F slur that is generally reserved for homosexuals, but truly is more appropriate for someone like you, and received a lengthy applause break.
I mean, people in Canada really hate me. I'd be surprised if my approval rating was over 20% at this point.
So what's next for you? There's an election in Canada coming up next year, right?
They're trying to call one sooner, as again, people really hate me from coast to coast. My plan is to delay until next year and then get absolutely smoked in the election and then focus on my true passion of doing various types of brown and blackface. I really want to explore the medium.
Dictator Justin Trudeau, everyone. We'll be right back after the break with the guy that sold Diddy all his baby oil.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Fire Program. I'm your host, Joe Neighbor. Good Lawgic in the house. Good Lawgic in the house. Woo. 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 Before we get to our featured stories tonight, before we get there, updates on the drones that we got. Updates today we got on the drones. You all want to know, hey, what's happened with those drones, Joey? You see more drones? More drones? Are there updates? Do we know what's going on? Anyone ever figure out what was happening to that? You remember the drones? You remember the drones? It was Attack of the Drones. Everything was coming in here. There was just like everything. They're like everywhere. If you're not living in New Jersey, you can't appreciate it. It's like bees swatting at them. They're just like, oh my God, all these drones here. Oh my God. It's craziness. Airwaves flooded with drones. Something's amiss. Something is amiss. Well, Congress wanted to get an investigation, and they got to the bottom of it today. Oh, no one can hear that. I can't even hear that. Who the heck can hear that? We definitely need to hear that a little bit louder.
Connecticut, anywhere they're being cited, are federal government operations, and they are not. We were assured, and we asked this question over and over and over again. They are not federal government operations to sniff radiation, gas, recovery, anything else. They remain committed to their message that there is.
So the House being told by the federal government, no, definitely not ours. Definitely not ours. All right, sounds good to us.
Zero evidence of laws being broken by
zero evidence.
And the context here was the fact that when Josh and I live probably equidistant from Midtown Manhattan, the New York metropolitan area is the most crowded airspace in the world, with Newark, Peterborough,
words,
Newark, JFK. There is a lot of commercial aircraft in the air, general aviation aircraft in the air. There are 800,000 registered drones in this country, and then millions and millions.
I'm just going to throw out words and facts that everyone knows, and like nothing here that everyone doesn't know. Everyone understands and knows all these things intuitively. Things that you and there's lots of people living in New York City. There's a lot of transportation issues that are going on with New York City, and a lot of people are interested when they come to the city that they're going to see things, and drones help people see things. So that's what we have to understand is going on. There's lots of drones, and we as far as we know, there's no laws being broken, and that's what they told us. It's not the government, so everything's fine. Everything's totally fine. Nothing to see here. Nothing to see. Nothing to see, because everyone understands we got airports. There are airports all over New York. There's Newark. There's LaGuardia, there's Kennedy. They're everywhere. There's everywhere. We have trains. We've got trains too. Cars, lots of cars, lots of cars. It's New York City. We have lots of cars, lots of cars.
Many unregistered drones. If you have a drone that weighs less than about half a pound, that need
Lots of
not be
drones.
registered. And so some combination of those things and stars and Starlink probably
Very much
account
so.
for the vast majority of what people are saying. The gentleman from New Jersey.
Thanks, Jim.
All right, so I just finished telling you a whole bunch of things that you already knew, aside from the one thing that none of you believe, which is that this is not. We were assured over and over again that this is definitely not a government operation. So, and we're swallowing that. What is it? Oh, perfectly legal activity that just randomly happens to be increasing at unprecedented rates over certain high value target areas. Nothing to see. But let me have my fellow New Jersey Democrat congressman tell you that he agrees with me.
Let's just reiterate what Jim said. What I think is really important is I think this briefing was not only thorough, but really giving us a full sense that based on the information we have to date, there's no imminent threat to public safety.
Oh, yeah, we need to stress. There's definitely nothing to see here, nothing to be afraid of. Everything's fine. Everything's fine. How do you know? Well, because they told us. Didn't they once say it was Iranian? No, that guy's fired. That guy who said it was Iranian, he's fired. But why are they flying off the coast? He's fired. Didn't we just tell you? And they said everything's fine. That's what they assured us over and over. What are they? No, it's just regular people. You have to. There's 800,000 registered drones in this country, and all of a sudden, an unprecedented number are just being flown through over the meadowlands, flown all around, just in one concentrated area. That's totally normal. I don't know why people are even making a big deal about this.
And that's I think the number one issue that we're focused on is making sure that everyone is safe and secure, and that's what we all have been focused on and continue to be. I think it's really important. I understand that people are seeing drone activity, and we want to make sure they keep raising that when they're raising those issues when they see it, and we will stay on top of things while we're having briefings like this, and we'll continue to.
You've been
But one of the things to add quickly, FBI was there. They have set up a tip line for people who report information they've received. They had 6,000 tips, and they are running down those tips.
And you can send us more tips, and we will file it at the circular file at the end of our desks.
Oftentimes these tips
Please make sure you call them in, though, so this way you think that we're really listening to you.
come with absolutely no associated data, so it's hard for them to run down. They are running down all of those tips in which they can find available data. These 800,000 registered drones or the many millions of unregistered? No idea who owns these drones, assuming these drones are in fact drones. Again, everybody who studied this has arrived at the conclusion that most of these sightings are commercial aircraft. For example, I'll give you an example. One of the members of the committee asked about a reported situation where the Coast Guard cutter was supposedly followed by 6 drones. Analysis showed that the Coast Guard cutter was lined.
They're shutting down airports because of it. They're shutting down airports, but totally fine. Everything's totally fine.
No, on LaGuardia approach. And therefore, in fact, somebody did see a Coast Guard cutter with 6 descending lights behind it. That was LaGuardia approach. A lot of these things are going to turn out to be that kind of thing.
And listen, as Jim said, there are a lot of drones. Right? There are a lot of activity, a lot of mostly recreational, and sometimes there's so many out there. The key is making sure that local law enforcement, and that's something that
They want you to send them their tips. Send your tips. The government wants you to send them their tips. The government wants you to send them your tips. That's what they want from you. Why is that not hitting anything? Oh, I restarted. That's why.
and calling for the local law enforcement state have the tools they need to be able to monitor and work with federal partners like the FBI and DHS to address drones that are in spaces they shouldn't be, over critical infrastructure, over reservoirs, right, over airports or other areas. And I think that's really important. But you can see an all-government approach we saw today, an all-government approach to address these issues, and we're going to continue to stay on top of it.
What do you have to say to lawmakers who are still skeptical that these drones are not harmful, especially when they are flying on the military site? We have lawmakers.
So what do you have to say to folks who say you're liars, basically? This is for you, Joey. There you go. Just the tip. It's good. This is what the government's giving us, just the tip. So what do you add to people who say you're full of crap?
Come to us today saying that.
Well, so there are a number of established cases where we have seen.
Yeah, I don't have that part of it, but it's more word salad. So there you go. Everything's fine. Why are you worried? Why are you even? I don't know why anyone's even asking questions. Why would anyone be asking questions? Also, breaking news. We started the show by sharing a little clip of Trudeau that may or may not have been artificially intelligenced. But there was news with Canada and Trudeau that Benny Johnson broke earlier today, and that is that Canada responds with a $1.3 billion border security investment after President Trump threatened 25% tariffs. There you go. That'll work. That'll get things. We get the ball rolling. Clearly not nearly enough, but at least it's the right direction. You know, that's not chump change. You gotta, yeah. Maybe it's Trump change, but it's not chump change, that's for sure. 1.3 billion, that's not too bad. All right, we're getting somewhere here. Still got somewhere here. Starting, working our way along. So there you go. People saying it's not going to do anything. And two more things I wanted to share with you before I got into like the real news here. This was Trump trolling AOC earlier today. Really too bad that AOC lost the battle for the leadership seat in the Democratic Party. She should keep trying. Someday she will be successful. Really too bad. It's too bad. Oh, he's funny. He's a funny man. But I will tell you that some of the things that I'm going to share with you soon, I'm not such a fan of. There's a certain position that Trump's taking that is frustrating. And if he really goes down this road, you're going to hear me talking out against him. So I'm not going to be a sycophant just because he happens to be Donald Trump. And if he does things that don't make sense, I'm going to call him out on it. And J.D. Vance said something today as far as what their position is that should be very discomforting. But speaking of things that are discomforting, before we get into the news, before we get into the real news, things that are discomforting. This is Ketanji Brown Jackson. Ketanji Brown Jackson. I don't understand anything. Like, this is what Supreme Court justices are supposed to be doing, I guess. I mean, look, she's supposed to have a life. Tell me that this is not people kissing up to her simply because she's a SCOTUS justice and basically, well, here you go. She's on Broadway.
Female empowerment. Sick.
Welcome to the first day of rehearsal.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. This has been a dream of mine. I think that it means that anything is possible.
What is happening here? What is someone tell me what's happening here?
Tonight, we have a very special guest, Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson!
I like it too. I think what I like about it is that I am having a very strongly negative reaction to it. Like I hate it. Which makes me think it must be brilliant.
Got this feeling in my body. Can't stop the feeling. Got this feeling in my body.
So apparently, Supreme Court justices are basically celebrities. In case you were wondering, they're basically celebrities. She's getting like the Michelle Obama treatment here.
Can't stop the feeling.
I did it. I made it to Broadway.
Yeah, you really earned your way to Broadway there. You really earned your way to Broadway right there. Really earned it. Yeah. Thoughts? Yeah. I wouldn't have just said it. If I just told you, you couldn't have fully appreciated the spectacle. The spectacle there. The majesty of the moment of Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson finally living her dream of making it to Broadway. Well earned. Very well earned. Very well earned. You think the whole drone thing is just mass hysteria? They're not fake drones. Do you think this is like that whole incident with the people dancing on the bridge? Do you remember when I covered that, Joe? The story of the people dancing on the bridge? It's a true story that happened in the 17th century. That is a mystery to this day. Where people just started dancing in Germany and could not stop until then. Some of them were on a bridge that collapsed in the water and like 8 people drowned. I don't remember what it was called, the incident. I covered it 3 years ago. KBJ taking advice from ex-Harris, but I know Joe was there. I know Joe was, because back in those days, Joe was there. KBJ taking advice from ex-Harris public. You're going to see Kamala doing the same sort of thing. I have no doubt. She'll be on Broadway too. Democrats are so cringe. Yeah, we're both old. We're both old. Ron Coleman told Joe would show me the Jew space laser. You have to know the password. If you know the password, then you get it for extended hours. So it's sort of like, if you know the password. Do you know the password? You have to be able to at least say the password.
Great meeting you. It must be nice being in front of a dumb American audience who applaud you because they
hate what that. All right. Well, anyhow, that's what that was. All right. That's it, our comments. But I think that's what they think is happening here. No, it's not shekels. It's not shekels. All right. Let's start with Matt Gaetz. That's where we're going to go first. We're going to go first to Matt Gaetz. Where are you? So, Congress has voted to release the investigative report on Matt Gaetz. Yep, they have. That's what they said. They said we're going to release to the public the report of the allegations of his sexual we'll call it iniquities. The sexual iniquities. So, Matt Gaetz tried to get in front of it this morning. This is his statement. Can you read this? I think you can read it. The Biden-Garland DOJ spent years reviewing allegations that I committed various crimes. I was charged with nothing, fully exonerated, not even a campaign finance violation, and the people investigating me hated me and still charged with nothing. Then the very witnesses, in quotes, DOJ deemed not credible, were assembled by House Ethics to repeat their claims absent any cross-examination or challenge from me or my attorneys. I've had no chance to ever confront any accusers. I've never been charged, never been sued. Instead, House ethics will reportedly post a report online that I have no opportunity to debate or rebut as a former member of the body. In my single days, I often sent funds to women I dated. So this is somewhat new information. They sent funds to women he dated, even some I never dated, but who asked. I dated several of these women for years. I never had sexual contact with someone under 18. Any claim that I would have that I have would be destroyed in court, which is why no such claim was ever made in court. My 30s were an era of working very hard and playing hard too. It's embarrassing, though not criminal, that I probably partied, womanized, drank, and smoked more than I should have earlier in life. I live a different life now, but at least I don't vote for CRs that F over the country. So that was CRs being referenced to continuing resolutions. That's a reference to the House Appropriations Bill, omnibus bill that's being debated right now, which we'll be covering shortly in far greater detail. So this is his story. This is his position. And they're telling us that the people who voted, the Republicans who voted in favor of releasing this report, make these Republicans in the House Ethics Committee famous. They voted yes to release an unprecedented report on Matt Gaetz, who isn't even a member of Congress anymore, and everything was proven untrue. They must be primary with the help of Elon Musk. And you got these five folks here. You have Chairman Michael Guest out of Mississippi, who George Santos was saying that he's been gunning for Matt for a long time. David Joyce out of Ohio. John Rutherford out of Florida, Andrew Garbarino from New York, and Michelle Fishback from Minnesota. Those are the five Republicans who supposedly voted in favor of releasing the report on Matt Gaetz. So, I mean, Matt was basically talking about how he says someone suggested the following plan to me. Show up, because he was elected, and he's resigned from the current session of Congress. In theory, he could return to Congress if he wants to for its next session. Show up January 3rd to Congress, participate in the speaker election. I was elected to the 119th Congress, after all. Take the oath. File a privileged motion to expose every Me Too settlement paid using public funds, even a former member. Supposedly, there is a slush fund that Congress has, which to date has laid out $17 million settling claims raised against various members of Congress, both Republicans and Democrats. Who pays that money? We do. It comes from taxpayer funding. It's kind of like the same type of funding that, and this is one of the things that Mike Johnson, I think it was Mike Johnson. I saw a clip of him saying this. I don't know if I saved it here. I don't think I saved it here. Mike Johnson saying, it's really interesting. It wasn't Mike Johnson. He wouldn't have said this. But this is exactly the same thing that Trump was convicted of in New York for not properly listing it as a finance contribution. I wonder how many members of Congress listed their contributions of that $17 million as donations. Probably none. I'm gonna dare say zero. I'm gonna go way out on a limb and say I think it's probably zero. It's probably zero, because we would have heard. Then you would have heard about them. You wouldn't have to have it be released. Resign and start my OANN program at 9 p.m. Eastern on January 6, 2025. So that's the contemplative plan. I have some advice for you, Matthew Gaetz. I have some advice for Matt Gaetz. Stop worrying about the report. Seriously. Stop worrying about the report. If it's really the nothing burger you say it is, I can understand your frustration. I know that there's no question that this is being released because some people really, really hate Matt Gaetz. I did a show about Matt Gaetz last January, February time, when he was raising the ruckus on the Hill, and he successfully got Kevin McCarthy removed, and pointed out that he was the most hated man in D.C. because all the Democrats and most of the Republican rhinos didn't like what he was doing. So, and that he had, balls of steel. Now, do I know that he did nothing illegal? No, I don't know that. Do I have any reason to assume he did anything illegal? No, I have no reason to assume that he did. So I don't want anyone to say that this is Joe giving a pass to Matt Gaetz. I'm not giving a pass. I'm simply saying I'm going to take him at his word. He says he did nothing illegal. He said he did nothing wrong. He came out, made his statement saying, look, I partied a lot and I hung out with a lot. I womanized a lot. All right. Folks, that's not the sort of thing which people really care about as much as they perhaps should in 2024. So stop sweating it. My God, stop worrying about it. You make your one statement and just go out there and live your life, brother. If you want to go back to Congress, go back to Congress. You don't want to go back to Congress, don't go back to Congress. Hey, it's like, what are you worried? He seems so afraid of this report, and you can't deny he seems really afraid of this report. I mean, look at Eric Swalwell. The dude literally was like in having a romantic entanglement with a Chinese spy. I mean, come on. Come on. Dude having a romantic entanglement with Fang Fang, and you're sitting here worrying about like, if I take you at your word that you're hanging out with, some college girls, okay. Like, stop sweating it. That's what I'd say to you, Matthew. Stop sweating it. You'll be fine. You'll be fine. Make your point, make your statement, move on. It's really that simple. I don't like that he keeps coming. He seems very, very wrapped up in this whole thing. Seems very, very wrapped up in it. You can't deny he seems very, very wrapped up in this report. As opposed to be like, yeah, there's some douchebags who hate me, and they're going to basically try to sell any story they can. Much as what we see happening with, Liz Cheney tried selling any story she could about her political enemy, Donald Trump, when she was part of the J6 committee. So just, go out there, make your point, and just say, this is rhinos being rhinoing, and just let it go, just stop worrying about it. Just, hold your head high. It's really not. I think he's making more smoke out of it. He's making it into more of a story by continually going back to it. So that's my suggestion to you, Matthew. You don't owe apologies to anybody, especially if you did nothing illegal. Well, certainly if you did nothing illegal. If you did something illegal, then that's a whole different thing. It changes the whole equation. I'm going to take your word that you didn't. So in which case, just let it go. Do you guys think I'm wrong on that? You think I'm wrong on that take? I'm just like, I don't know. Tired of hearing about it. Getting tired of it. Libs tearing down another once respected institution, making a mockery out of judges. I just thought I'd share it with you. It's out there. It's a story that's out there. It blew my mind when I saw it. I'm not weighing in. I'm just telling you. So that happened. I have my own thoughts about it. Maybe one day I'll weigh in. I don't know. But that day is not today. Definitely not today. All right. Speaking of Elizabeth. So, yesterday, where should I start with this? I didn't really put this in the order I want to. Well, all right. Early this morning, meaning 2 a.m. December 18th, Trump tweeted this out on or posted, I don't know what they call it on Truth. He truthed. He gave his truth. His truth. Liz Cheney could be in a lot of trouble based on the evidence obtained by the subcommittee, which states that, quote, numerous federal laws were likely broken by Liz Cheney, and these violations should be investigated by the FBI. Thank you to Congressman Barry Loudermilk on a job well done. Newsmax by Greg Kelly. Oh, no. Oh, no. Let's see if I can find that Greg Kelly report. I haven't looked for that. I meant to look for it. Let's see if I can find it. Greg Kelly. Let's see if we can find his report on it. Yeah, that's 2 years ago. No, that's not it. Give me one more second.
Ms. Hutchinson, could you look at the exhibit that we're showing on
I think they're referring to this, which is a month ago.
the screen now? Have you seen this note before?
That's a note that I wrote at the direction of the Chief of Staff on January 6th, likely around 3 o'clock.
And it's written on a Chief of Staff note card, but that's your handwriting, Ms. Hutchinson?
That's my handwriting.
All right. It's not. Let's take a look at it, right? Now, 10 million people saw this and nobody thought this was suspicious. Does this look like a 23-year-old female's handwriting? It's not. Here's the thing. There's a man, a lawyer who worked at the Trump White House who actually hates Trump, this guy, Eric Hirschman, who swore up and down that it was his handwriting. His handwriting. And Cassidy Hutchinson has the nerve to put this in her book. After the testimony, they're like high on their own supply, right? Oh boy, did we nail that testimony? And they're, oh wow, we just nailed it. Hey, Cassidy, there's this guy, Eric Hirschman, on the phone. He says it's his handwriting. Get lost. It's my handwriting. Well, it's not her handwriting. Can I see the note again? I'm sorry, but this is incredible. Right. It is literally incredible. Now, let me show you her handwriting. All right. 1,000% guaranteed what her real handwriting looks like is the stuff on the right. Okay?
Oh, my God.
Yeah. It's a 23-year-old girl's handwriting. That's what it looks like. You don't have to go.
Look at that. Look at that. Or like a 14-year-old girl's handwriting. That's her real handwriting. Look at it. Look at how she puts capital letter and then use small letters after each. She doesn't use all caps the way the other letter is. The other letter is written in all caps. See how even in the middle you got capital E here, capital L, capital T. She doesn't use all caps. It's a manly thing, I think, to use all caps. Not when you're in a chat. Don't be talking all caps in there. That makes you a loser.
Is the stuff on the right, okay?
The little hearts and everything. The hearts and everything. She gets the hearts. Even her name, she doesn't even capitalize. Got a little small c there.
Yeah, it's a 23-year-old girl's handwriting. That's what it looks like. You don't have to go to FBI calligraphy school to know that. All right, that she is. I mean, is that perjury? Is that lying? Is that deception? Is it all of the above? It
sounds like it.
Something really, really weird, and they get away with it. There isn't one reporter in the country who wrote about this, even at the time. They just accepted it. What has happened? This is mass brainwashing. This is the dark side. The dark side. And the Cheneys, they have a hand in all of this. Kamala Harris, she doesn't care. She'll do anything they tell her for power. And that they have all teamed up. The Cheneys and Kamala Harris. This is the most bizarre, but actually kind of makes sense in a weird, dark way because these people are all about power. The latest stunt, this is like a mini WMD trick, right? WMD, Iraq, all that stuff. What are they doing now?
He has increased his violent rhetoric, Donald Trump has, about political opponents.
All right, I don't care about this part because this is ancient history. I do want to get to them talking about Liz Cheney, though.
Media on purpose misinterprets it, right? Oh, he's calling for the assassination of Liz Cheney. On cue.
Today, dominated by another dark twist in Donald Trump's violent rhetoric about political opponents. This time, apparently suggesting that former Republican Congresswoman Liz Cheney, the vice chair of the January 6th committee, could face gunfire.
She's a radical war hawk. Let's put her with a rifle standing there with 9 barrels shooting at her, okay? Let's see how she feels.
With a rifle. As in defending something with a rifle when she's facing off against 9 guns.
About it. When the guns are trained on her face.
President Trump making headlines for this comment about Liz Cheney appearing to call for her execution.
Yeah, right. You see what they're doing on her face, and then they get out. I think it's important. We have to talk about what he's really talking about because his point is so valid. And very important.
And I don't blame him for sticking with his daughter, but his daughter is a very dumb individual, very dumb. She's a radical war hawk. Let's put her with a rifle standing there with 9 barrels shooting at her, okay? Let's see how she feels about it. When the guns are trained on her face. They're all war hawks when they're sitting in Washington in a nice building saying, oh, gee, let's send.
They leave that part out.
10,000 troops
It's
right
so
into
gross.
the mouth of the enemy.
It's so gross.
But she's a stupid person.
So, what is he talking about? The neocons in Iraq. Her father was the main one, the architects of the Iraq War, the phony baloney weapons of mass destruction.
All right, so this is not fully what I was looking for here. Not going to kid you. I was hoping for a little bit more directly related to. Directly related to this whole incident of the J6 committee and her connection to
close here. You mentioned Liz Cheney.
To Cassidy Hutchinson, the former intern who turned on Trump and testified, and then wrote a book all about her travails. You gotta love capitalism. So the J6 report that he was referencing brings out new interim report on J6 dropped today, and Liz Cheney and Cassidy Hutchinson now potentially looking at prison sentences. Cassidy Hutchinson lied. This is what the report found. Lied to have drafted a handwritten note for Trump on January 6th. Lied about the classification status of documents to disparage Mark Meadows. Liz Cheney and Cassidy Hutchinson worked together to wrongfully disbar Stephen Passantino. And recently, new text reveal Liz Cheney gets busted secretly text messaging with J6 star witness Cassidy Hutchinson about her testimony without her attorney's knowledge. Without her attorney's knowledge. Cassidy's secret signal messages were captured and revealed. Liz Cheney was discovered to be secretly communicating with star witness Cassidy Hutchinson in 2022. Oopsie. Cheney communicated with Hutchinson both directly and through an intermediary, Alyssa Faith Farrah Griffin. She's supposed to be the Republican on The View, the brunette who sits over on the side, while Hutchinson was represented by her attorney, Stephen Passantino. And then they went and I don't know if they succeeded in getting Passantino disbarred. There's a pretty huge scandal between the two, and unless they get presidential pardons, which he's saying is likely, I don't see how they'll avoid prison. I'll tell you how they would avoid prison. They'd avoid prison if you charge them in D.C., because everyone in D.C. loves anyone who stood up against Trump. So you can't charge them in D.C. You would have to find venue in Virginia if you want to have a chance. That's how they wouldn't need a pardon. And we've looked at these messages before. I'm not going to spend a great deal of time looking at them now, but this is the interim report that came out yesterday. And incorporated therein, you had this text exchange between Alyssa Farah, where Cassidy is saying, I know you're busy, but is there a chance you touch base with anyone regarding what we talked about Tuesday night? Hey, yes, I reached out to Liz. She agreed to keep our convo totally confidential. She said she admires you and can tell that you wanted to do the right thing from your testimony. Her one concern was so long as you have counsel, she can't really ethically talk to you without him, but which just as a follow-up with you, with your lawyer, that she and Dan George can lead, probably can do without other members and Tim. Does that help at all? I can tell she really wants to work with you and is just trying to figure out the right way to do it while getting you to change attorneys to someone who's more sympathetic to us. Cassidy saying, I mean, do you think this is actually of interest to her at this point, or is it moved? Like, have they moved beyond it? Oh, it's very much of interest. Trust me. She basically just wants to structure in a way that she can help cover her ass. Sorry. You're comfortable and wants to make sure it's clear if you speak to them again. It's them asking, not you, so you don't get in trouble. A follow up here. Hi, this is Cassie Hutchinson. I'm sorry for reaching out this way. Oh, this is her to Liz Cheney. But I was hoping to have a private conversation with you soon if you're willing. Liz saying, I'd be happy to. Let me know what time works for you. What? Why would you be talking to a potential witness without her when you know she has counsel? That's crazy. That's crazy. She's the one who should be disbarred. I'm free all day for a call or in person, whichever you prefer. I really appreciate this. Give me a call when it's good for you. Is now okay? Can we aim for one? That works. Please call when you have a moment. I'm worried to initiate the call in case you're tied up with something. All right. So you might say to yourself, look, they had this communication. Maybe they had this. They have this communication. Maybe that communication wasn't what was so influential. Maybe, just maybe, there were other reasons that she came forward and that it's not really Liz's fault. Yeah, okay, perhaps Liz bent the rules a little bit here. Maybe she pushed the envelope as far as what she should be saying to a witness. Maybe that was a little bit inappropriate, but perhaps, what she said wasn't really that influential. Maybe Cassidy came to this on her own. So even though she changed her testimony multiple times, and then it turns out that her testimony was hot garbage, then maybe perhaps Liz had no knowledge of that, wasn't behind any of her testifying. She just, helped her find suitable counsel and wasn't really that influential in this whole process of getting Cassidy from being someone who didn't want to testify, had counsel who was standing up against this, to someone who came in there, told a brand new story where all of a sudden Donald Trump purportedly, according to Liz Cheney, according to Cassie Hutchinson, was leaping over the car and trying to turn it and being yanked by the clavicle and all this other stuff that's happening there. Maybe Liz Cheney had nothing to do with that testimony coming out. So it wouldn't be her. So even if Cassie Hutchinson engaged in perjuring herself, that there's nothing to do really with Liz Cheney. That's possible. But then you have, what's this?
Cheney throughout this process. Here, you mentioned Liz Cheney throughout this process, before your testimony, during it, and after.
This was a year ago when she was on MSNBC promoting her book. A year ago. This is what she was saying.
As an inspiration to you, and then one of the few people who was by your side and you could confide in. How critical was Liz Cheney in getting
confiding in Liz Cheney? It gets worse for Liz. It gets much worse.
Getting you to testify, and how good, strong of an ally was she?
Liz Cheney is the leader that we all need to aspire to be, and she is the leader that we need as a country to come together and find people to elect people like Liz Cheney. Liz Cheney has a spine of steel, and she also cares deeply about this country. I think seeing Liz Cheney sit on a dais with several Democratic members of Congress goes to show how dangerous of a moment that we are in as a country.
Well, it's getting way more dangerous from your perspective.
I would like to think that without Liz Cheney, I still would have come to this moment, but I know that I came to this moment because of Liz Cheney. I am forever indebted to her for that and helping get me to where I am today.
I only came to this moment because of Liz Cheney. Oh no! I'm going to say no backsies on that one. No backsies on that one. That's right. You be the anchor that take Liz on down. You be her anchor. You're my anchor. You're my anchor.
Joe.
That is great to hear. Hey,
oh, it is great to hear. That's right, Morning Joe. It's great to hear. It's great to kudos to you, Liz, for bringing Cassidy on out here. Oh, such a great job. Such a great job. The perjurer in chief, the biggest liar, the biggest, the feminist movement's answer to Michael Cohen coming on out there to the J6 committee with her crazy, wild stories. I mean, he jumped in front of the car and he's grabbing over. He's trying to turn the wheel there and they're pulling him back. Oh, that's the story. She swore under oath, which anyone who had half a brain would be like, wait, how did that happen? How could that possibly? The secrets surrounded by Secret Service and he's jumping over the barrier, just taking control of the whole. That sounds difficult. That sounds difficult to really buy. But they bought it. They bought it. And Liz sold it. And she never would have come out if not for Liz.
You were talking before about Trump knowing that he had lost. And there was that Rose Garden moment after the Supreme Court decision. And he said to you,
you're about to hear why they bought it. You want to know why they bought it? You want to know why they bought it? I'm going to tell you why they bought it. It's because of what he's about to say here.
I don't want people to know I lost, right?
He said that to Mark Meadows.
Totally.
I was standing catty corner to Mark Meadows. Mark Meadows and I were leaving the residence. We were at a Christmas reception. And then the president was going back to the residence from the Oval Office. So I was with Mark, stepped behind Mark. And
clearly heard everything very clearly there.
This was a conversation between the president and Mark Meadows.
Where the president said, I don't want people to know. That the president pushed back. I don't want people to know we lost, Mark. This is embarrassing. He said, figure it out. That is so Trump, by the way.
Boom. Right there. Right there. Right there. She gave them exactly what their cartoonish version of evil, manipulative Donald Trump is, where he's basically where she fed them the exact stupid cartoonish script. Like that. Oh, this is that he. When you hear a story that's too good to be true, this is when you know. Just ask yourself, why are there reasons I should disbelieve what I'm hearing? And we on the right sometimes fall for it as well. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. Whenever you hear a story about someone, especially if it's someone who you're already predisposed to dislike, and it plays into every negative stereotype that you have of that individual, you must be very, very careful before jumping into saying this must be true because this is exactly what I know that person to be like. So this is the stereotype they have, and he's like, oh, I could just totally see Trump saying that, and Mika making her little gasping noise there.
This is embarrassing. He said, figure it out. That is so Trump, by the way. I don't want people to know I lost. This is embarrassing. And trade the entire country in for his embarrassment. Anyway.
Absolutely incredible.
All right, Willie.
The new book is titled Enough. It is on sale now. Cassidy.
She wears her stupid white jacket that she wore at the hearing. Just, it's me. It's me. I was the one who testified. It's me.
Hutchinson, it's great to meet you. We did not get to the White Claws or the baby oil.
With her glooped on mascara there. which looks like tarantula legs sticking out of her eyes. God. Ugh. 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 So this is not looking good for. It's not looking good for Liz. If you're Liz, she's very not happy about this. But the House report is definitely suggesting that there should be an investigation into Liz Cheney. That's what the House is saying, as reported by Post Millennial. I've not gone through the report in detail myself. I don't want to mislead anyone, but Post Millennial supposedly went through it. They say House report recommends FBI investigate into Liz Cheney over alleged witness tampering while on the J6 committee. New report released Tuesday from Representative Barry Loudermilk in the House Administration Subcommittee on Oversight states that former Wyoming Congresswoman Liz Cheney should be investigated for possible criminal activity stemming from her work on the House Select Committee on J6. She's accused of colluding with witness Cassidy Hutchinson, who testified before the committee, and with an aide to Mark and was an aide to Mark Meadows, chief of staff. Quote, based on the evidence obtained by the subcommittee. Based on their evidence. Numerous federal laws were likely broken by Liz Cheney, the former vice chair of the J6 Select Committee, and these violations should be investigated by the FBI. Evidence uncovered by the subcommittee revealed that former Congresswoman Liz Cheney tampered with at least one witness, Cassidy Hutchinson, by secretly communicating with Hutchinson without Hutchinson's attorney's knowledge. This secret communication with the witness is improper and likely violates 18 U.S.C. 1512, which is obstruction. Such action is outside the due functioning legislative process and therefore not protected by the speech and debate clause. Uh-oh! The Federal Bureau of Investigation must also investigate Representative Cheney for violating 18 U.S.C. 1622, which prohibits any person from procuring another person to commit perjury. Not looking good. Based on the evidence obtained by the subcommittee, Hutchinson committed perjury when she lied under oath to the Select Committee. Additionally, Hutchinson was interviewed by the FBI as part of its investigation to President Trump. This subcommittee sought a copy of the FBI Report 302 documenting this interview and Hutchinson's statements, but the FBI has refused to produce this vital document. They're shredding it and shredding it and shredding it. The FBI must immediately review the testimony given by Hutchinson in this interview, determine if she also lied in her FBI interview, and if so, the role former Representative Cheney played in instigating Hutchinson to radically changing her testimony. She was a witness before the J6 committee, claimed that then President Donald Trump was leaving the Stop the Steal rally at the Ellipse in Washington, D.C. following his speech. He attempted to grab the steering wheel of the car that was driving him back to the White House. This testimony was debunked in March 2024 by the Secret Service agent who was driving the car, while Hutchinson was not actually in. The agent said, I did not see him reach. He never grabbed the steering wheel. I don't see him, lunge to try to get into the front seat and all. What stood out was the irritation in his voice more than his physical presence. That agent said that Trump was pushing pretty hard to go to the Capitol, but did not corroborate Hutchinson's claim that he lunged for the wheel. And the House report from October was revealed that in the months prior to Hutchinson's explosive private and public testimony, Cheney communicated with Hutchinson both directly and through intermediary Alyssa Farrah Griffin, another person who should be investigated. While Hutchinson was represented by her attorney, Stephan Pesentino. Text message from the report shows that Hutchinson friend Alyssa Farrah Griffin reached out to Liz and that she agreed to keep our convo totally confidential. Cheney, through Farrah Griffin, told Hutchinson that she admired her and could tell that Hutchinson wanted to do the right thing. Cheney was one of two Republicans appointed to the committee, the stupid sham committee. Benny Thompson chaired the J6 committee. Then GOP leader Kevin McCarthy wanted to appoint Jim Jordan and Jim Banks. But when Pelosi refused to seat them, McCarthy said the House Republicans would not participate. But instead, Cheney said, oh, I'll do it anyway. I'm here. And as did crying Adam Kinzinger, who were both rabid, insane Trump haters. So there you go. Joe, do you see Justine Blackman on Megyn Kelly? She still looks good. I did not. No. I did not see her there, but she's got some funny tweets. She got jokes. I like it. She inspired me, actually. I'm thinking about doing. She does this social media vid posting critiques, and I started doing podcaster critiques. I'm thinking about it. I don't know. I did one, which was pretty well received, actually. Daniel says, I'm still here 6 months. Still care. Bless you, Joe and Lady Lawgic, lest we forget Pops. Salute. God bless. Thank you. Thank you so much, brother. Broadway better than KBJ doing a lecture on law. I see the point. She looks to me like she knows she's lying in a hostage. They know Cheney approached her to do this. I think that Cheney did approach her. That doesn't exonerate her for making crap up, though. I don't think that helps her. Look, at the end of the day, the question is whether you get jurisdiction outside of D.C. That's because that's what you really want. You do not want to take this to trial in D.C. So, and you probably can get stuff outside D.C. if she lived outside of D.C. If she was not staying in D.C., then wherever she was when she was texting this stuff out would give you license to have jurisdiction to go after them, in a different jurisdiction. Because the last place on earth you ever want to bring this would be in D.C. Because you're a walking dead man if you're trying to prosecute anyone associated with J6 committee in the District of Columbia. It's like just a foregone conclusion. You might as well not even bother bringing charges. And this is the man who hopefully is going to be taking her down. He's the right man for it.
I think we were going to start with President Trump. Are they ready to call their first witness?
Yes, we would call Kash Patel. To your knowledge, did any senior DOJ leader ever state in words or substance that they felt they needed more or different authorization from President Trump before they could deploy National Guard troops to keep the peace on January 6th?
No.
So why didn't we have 10,000 National Guard troops suited up and armed guarding the Capitol on the morning of January 6th?
There's a multitude of reasons, but namely, step one was a commander-in-chief's authorization, which we had. Step two was a request by the governing body, the local governing body. It's the mayor, since it's Washington, D.C., and or the heads of the Capitol Police Bureau.
And Mr. Patel, I would ask you if you recognize this letter.
I do. It's the letter I referenced from Mayor Bowser, I believe on January 5th, to the Department of Defense, where she specifically stated we would not be requesting any additional National Guards men and women. And that was her letter to us. That was the declination of a request. And so we were on standby.
Did you testify before the January 6th Select Committee?
I did.
Were you questioned in a public hearing?
No, they declined my request for a public hearing.
Was your testimony public when given?
No.
Did you tell them what you've told us today about the president and the deployment of National Guard troops?
I believe so.
Did the committee ever call you to testify about those issues in public session?
No.
Some of the senior officials, people like Kash Patel, apparently not available.
Oh no! You liar! She's someone we all should admire. Trying to have more people like her in Congress. Going to Clavicle Girl. Clavicle Girl wants more people like this in Congress. It's nice that she comes equipped with a mole, just to like remind you that in case you for a second think that she's not literally a witch. And it's like, no, look, she even got the mole.
We felt it appropriate that the transcript should be made public at some point. And after months-long negotiations, they refused to do so and published their final report. And to my memory, it had been excluded. I think on the eve of the dissolution of the committee, my transcript was the last one released.
I have no further questions, sir. Please, sir. Thank you very much.
You called their bluff. And what's shocking to me, because I didn't even really understand this, is that you gave this testimony. Liz Cheney and Kinzinger and you guys, he gave this testimony essentially to J6 and they buried it.
Some of the senior officials, people like Kash Patel, apparently.
See, I don't know if he has the authority to do that. That's an interesting question. First thing is to give that federal land back, make it part of like Maryland or Virginia. Maryland. We want to keep Virginia blue. All right, keep it red. We want to keep them going blue. Maryland's lost anyway.
Not available.
Point blank. Is your testimony basically one of the key reasons that Jack Smith can't and won't indict President Trump for insurrection?
I believe so. It's the truth. If anyone could have charged President Trump with misdirection, this special counsel, Jack Smith, would have done it.
Where is he now? Probably moved to Costa Rica or something. He's fleeing the country, that guy. So yeah, I think that she could be in trouble. But the House is doing everything they can to protect her, including this new bill that they're trying to pass, this new omnibus bill. Let's talk about this bill. And everything wrong with it. So you want to know why you should hate this bill? Well, Doge has a little bit of a breakdown for you. It's a 1,500-page bill. Let me see. We should start here. No, start here. Maybe. Start with Rand Paul saying, "I hope to see Speaker Johnson grow a spine, but this bill is full of pork. Shows he's a weak man. The debt will continue to grow. Ultimately, the dollar will fail. Democrats are clueless and big government. Republicans are complicit. A sad day for America." I'll come to that later. Let's start with Jesse Waters. Let's do this. I haven't had a chance to hear this yet, but I caught like a few seconds of it. I was like, I think this is going to be just what the doctor ordered.
Out doing last-minute shopping. So's Congress. But here's the difference. You have a budget. Congress doesn't. And Congress just got caught trying to put $100 billion on our credit card. How long does $100 billion last? Probably all year, right? No. 2.5 months. And then they do it all again. Look at this. Look how many pages this is. It's 1,500 pages. They released it last night. We're supposed to read it and vote on it today.
Look how thick that thing is. Look how 1,500 pages.
But no one read it except us. They tried to write into law that no one's allowed to look at Congress's emails.
Yeah, the reason they don't want anyone looking at Congress's emails is because of Liz Cheney. That's why. And all the rest of the J6 committee folk and the stuff that they said. So that's why they put that in the bill, that they don't want anyone, they make it illegal to look at Congress's emails. Even an investigative body. That's right. Oh, we're completely free. No one can look here. Unbelievable.
So if I get a subpoena, you get a subpoena, we have to hand our emails over. But Congress, if they get a subpoena, they don't have to. So if Trump wants to investigate the January 6th committee to find out what happened, you can't see the politicians' emails. If Nancy's texting Paulie P about investment opportunities, no one's allowed to see it. Congress just tried to write a law that puts them above the law. I thought no one was above the law. Didn't they say that all last year?
No one is above the law except us. No one. No one is above the law. Nothing to see here.
Congress is also funding a censorship program. They're giving money to the State Department to censor things that they don't like online. We're funding Congress to take away our free speech. And remember, vax mandates. They're back.
And that's what, by the way, that's what the Doge was saying here. We didn't even get to the pay increase yet. We're getting there. But this is renewal of the Global Engagement Center, which is currently being sued for censorship. So they need to be renewed so they continue censoring us.
Congress is funding more vax mandates, for the next pandemic. The section of the bill is called Pandemic Preparedness. Gain of function, the risky experiments that flew out of Wuhan and killed 1 million of us. Congress is trying to fund gain of function research again.
It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. The audacity of these idiots.
I'm sure not here in America. I'm sure we funded it to some other country like Ukraine or China, somewhere in Africa. 12 new biolabs that won't leak. They swear. $3 million to test the inspection of molasses. Not to test the molasses, to inspect the inspectors. Have we been having trouble with bad molasses? Was there a molasses recall that I missed?
A molasses outbreak.
Instead of inspecting the inspectors, why don't the first line of inspectors just do their job?
That's a good...
$15 million to make recycling more accessible. It's not accessible now. Everywhere you look, there's a blue bin. When you throw something out, like 5 different little bins, and you're analyzing what goes in which one. Does this go in this bin? This recycling all goes to the same place anyway. Half the plastics in landfills. And $100 million goes to migrant farm workers. Why don't the farms pay the migrants? Not sure. Gavin's vineyard needs us to pay his migrants to pick his grapes. He's not making enough money from wine. He needs a subsidy. Why are we paying for Gavin Newsom to get paid?
No one knows.
He can't get paid without our help. Must not be very good wine. But I'm willing to test it if he sends me some. And this is a 5-year, $100 billion contract. Once this thing passes, Doge can't touch it. Oh, and they're keeping Kamala's electric bus program. Kamala lost, but her earmark didn't. No one cares about electric buses, remember?
Haven't you always wanted an electric bus charging station?
Hell no. Why would I want that? What's that going to do? I barely catch the bus. Oh, no, that sucks.
How excited are you to go green?
What's to be excited for?
Are you excited for the electric bus charging station?
I don't really care.
Are you excited for the electric bus charging station? No?
The bill also bans sexy memes. Yeah, here's a sexy Jesse deepfake. I look good, but I don't look that good. I guess people have been putting AOC's face on bikini models in the group chat. Well, Congress says you can't make us look too hot. Or you're going to prison. Memes are a crime. Oh, and the bill's also woke. It changes the term offender to justice-involved individual and homeless to an individual experiencing homelessness. Who wrote this bill? The Republicans have the majority. I swear to God, the squad wrote this thing. Doesn't stop there. Remember Obamacare? You hate it, right? So does Congress. But now Congress gets to opt out of Obamacare. You're not allowed to opt out. Congress, the people who wrote Obamacare into law, they don't like it. So they're opting out.
Such douchebags.
Better than you.
Oh my
deserve
God.
And they actually do think they deserve
douchebags.
More. Congress is trying to give themselves a raise.
Members are giving themselves a pay raise. Do you guys deserve a pay raise?
Well, that's news to me. It's good news.
People look at the performance of Congress and say, why should we give them more money?
What about the media? Think about that for a second.
We're not paid by public money.
I know you're not, but I mean, half of your listeners are not there anymore. You're still getting the same paycheck? What's going on?
Congress is giving themselves.
Yeah, I'm not paying that guy, though. I am paying you, Dick Durbin.
A $6,000 raise to keep up with the cost of living.
$60,000.
Now, why has the cost of living gone up? Because of Congress. Congress is trying to give themselves a raise to keep up with the cost of living that they caused because they spent so much. Elon Musk says the bill is criminal, and anyone who votes for it should be voted out of office. And he has the money to make that happen. Elon blew this bill up all day. He and Vivek were all over it.
They were.
And it lit a fire under the politicians.
This is a sandwich. I don't know how else to say that. We're being forced into this position.
Swamp's going to swamp, right? We've said we'd do something different since we've been given the majority again. We're adding $330 billion in literally totally unpaid for additional deficit spending just since November 5th in 45 days. I don't see how that's doing what we're supposed to be doing. We're just fundamentally unserious about spending. And as long as you got a blank check, you can't shrink government. If you can't shrink government, you can't live free.
The Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, says he had no choice.
Elon and Vivek and I are on a text chain together. And I was explaining to them the background of this. And Vivek and I talked last night about almost midnight. They understand the situation. They said, it's not directed to you, Mr. Speaker, but we don't like the spending. I said, guess what, fellas? I don't either.
Oh,
we got to
you're
get
such a
this done
liar.
because here's the key. By doing this, we are clearing the decks and we are setting up for Trump to come in roaring back with the America First agenda.
What does that even mean? That means nothing. This means nothing. That's not clearing the decks. This is not clearing the decks. This is your liar. I don't know how it is that his soul didn't burst into flames in the middle of making that sentence. Oh my God, what an utter lie. Complete lie. This is like, I know what you like. You guys like Trump and America First. And I'm going to use those words here. And you're too stupid. I'm assuming you're too stupid to realize that what I'm saying makes absolutely no sense whatsoever, and that this is basically us empowering ourselves as much as we possibly can imagine. Unbelievable. What a completely twisted, corrupt individual Mike Johnson has turned out to be.
Clearing the decks. What does that mean? I don't know what clearing the decks means.
No one knows what that means.
They keep saying this is going to stop, and every year they say this is the last time we're going to do this. And then every year they do it again. And now people aren't too happy with Mike.
You already not planning to vote for him?
This solidifies it.
Have any other of your colleagues said that they're not voting for Johnson? Any expressed?
I've talked to a few, who don't seem like they're going to vote for him. I'll vote for somebody else.
Does it have a strength to reform this institution that is broken? I am not sure, and I haven't seen that. I haven't seen structural reforms that he would do to change this institution. And this is not the way to govern. That's not what American people elected us to do.
So what are we going to do now? We're going to toss Johnson overboard like they did with McCarthy? Then what? Everyone they make speaker spends money. Do we have to bring back Newt? Trump put out a statement. If Republicans try to pass a clean, continuing resolution without all the Democrat bells and whistles that will be so destructive to our country, all it will do after January 20th is bring the mess of the debt limit into the Trump administration, rather than allowing it to take place in the Biden administration. Any Republican that would be so stupid as to do this should and will be primaried. Everything should be done and fully negotiated prior to my taking office on January 20th, 2025.
Okay, now this statement is a little bit cryptic. Okay, I got to be real with you. This statement is a little bit cryptic. I don't know what this means. I don't like what I understand it to mean. I didn't like, and then I found this, and I liked it even less. It was J.D. Vance on a way to a meeting like 10 minutes before I started my show.
Johnson be reelected? Would you support a clean CR?
A clean CR. So what they mean when they say a clean CR, CR stands for continuing resolution. What does that mean? Well, as of tomorrow, because over here it's in my part of the world, in DC part of the world, it is December 19th. As of December 20th, there's no funding because the last bill dies as of December 20th. So Congress is shut down and we're broke, and the federal government's shut down because they got no money that they've allotted for, right? So remember, we're talking about appropriations, we're talking about money, we're talking about funding, and there ain't no money. In order for there to be any spending, there has to be a bill that says you're allowed to spend this money during this period of time to cover these forthcoming expenses. And then it's got a drop dead date line. Now, they're supposed to be making a fiscal year type of thing where it's like going to have for the defense, it's going to be this much, and agriculture is going to be this much, and spent in these different ways. It's been decades since they broke it down that way. Decades. Some of you who are watching now were not even born the last time Congress did that. Mike Johnson, when he was brought into the House, he came in under the promise of, that's what I'm going to do. No more CR, no more continuing resolutions, because that's what we've been using for the last 2 decades. What's a continuing resolution? That means that we're going to take our old bill, our old last year's thing, fiscal budget, and adjust it for inflation, and then just carry that forward. So that's called continuing resolutions, continuing from last year. It's a resolution that's continuing from last year, adjusted for inflation. This way, we don't have to go through the whole headache of like actually dissecting and seeing what's in here that's extraneous, because it's too much work. We can't figure it out. It's too much work. If you're such a behemoth that you can't figure out how much you should be spending, then the entire thing has got to be reworked from scratch. Because you know that there's bugs and problems that must be built into the system. Must be. Well, anyway, so Mike Johnson, when he came in and took over for McCarthy in the beginning of 2024, he came in under the promise, I'm going to be changing that, and did nothing, essentially, to actually work in that direction. He's like, no more CR, and then sure enough, come September, here comes the new CR. When did that CR expire? December 20th. So now we're at this situation where they're like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? Well, they say, okay, we got a new CR. But with that CR, we're throwing in all this other pork, all these other different things that have nothing to do with appropriations, with spending. Like, you can't look at Congress's emails. Like, let's continue to have this agency which is designed to censor people that the government doesn't like. Like, let's give ourselves a raise. Like, let's whatchamacallit? Well, let's have a new pandemic preparedness thing. And all that pork that Jesse Waters was just walking you through, all of that stuff there was basically, added on. So what Trump is saying is, I want a clean CR, just that, none of the other pork. But a big issue that people are talking about is the debt ceiling limit. What is a debt ceiling limit? What does that mean? How does that affect you? What's the story with that? So there's a certain amount of debt that Congress, under the Constitution, has to reassess how much debt they're taking on. So if they don't do it, they're not allowed to take on any debt. The only reason they have a legal right to take on debt is because they basically pass a law saying we're allowing ourselves to take on debt. Conservatives, if you're an actual conservative, they like having a debt ceiling because as we keep spending more and more money, A, it devalues your dollar. It devalues the money you have sitting in your bank accounts. And B, it ultimately puts us down a road towards the dollar collapsing and being useless. So, you could turn the dollar into the peso. Is that going to happen tomorrow? Probably not. But it's going to happen sooner than people probably expect. And a lot of people think it's definitely going to happen sometime in the next couple of years. That's a terrifying thing. That would lead to calamity that would make COVID look like a joke. You have no idea how your life and world will change. God forbid if there's some sort of hyperinflation, your dollar is worthless. And that's what continually borrowing money does. Because essentially at a certain point, the people who are holding the debt are going to be like, I don't think you guys are ever going to be able to pay this back. And the next thing you know, there's this whole rush to get money. So there's a lot of reasons to say, let's keep the debt ceiling in place. Even if we can't pay some of our bills and we can take a hit on America takes a hit on its credit rating, that's okay. What happens if we take a hit on our credit rating? What's the result of that? The result of that is it's harder for us to borrow money. That's okay too. We shouldn't be borrowing so much money. It's not the end of the world. It really isn't. If you get a credit hit, you can't borrow as much money. Oh, okay. Is that really a problem? The first time in American history where America has always, since its inception, always had a AAA rating, its credit rating. The first time that ever dipped down to AA plus was under Obama in 2011. Then it went back up and dipped back down under Biden in summer of 2023. So it's not like we've never seen a dip in our credit rating before. It's happened before, not the end of the world, not a calamity, not something you're looking to have happen, obviously. But if it does happen, it's not the end of the world. And far better than having CR after CR after CR after CR after CR. We have all, and especially when they have not just CR. So what is Trump saying over here? Vance is about to tell you what Trump wants. And what Trump wants is not what's good, frankly, in my opinion. I don't think what Trump is asking for is good for America. It's good for him. Because basically, he's like, I want to have a blank check. And that's what he's about to say. That's when when he says clean CR, he means without the extraneous stuff that Jesse Waters was just laying through.
What a clean CR?
Well, what the president believes is we should support a clean CR so long as it contains a debt limit increase. That's
a debt limit increase, meaning he wants you to jack up how much debt he can take on. Why? Why do you need to have a debt limit increase? Because he wants to have a flexibility to spend more money. That's what Trump is asking for. That should be very disconcerting. Why do we need to have such an ability to spend more money? Aren't we bringing in Doge here to like slash our expenses? If we're slashing our expenses, you don't need to have Congress authorizing more money. There should just be more money available because we're slashing expenses. So I don't know why he needs to raise the debt ceiling unless he's planning on spending a lot of money. And that should be very disconcerting. We're no better off if Trump is spending the money than if Biden's spending it. It's not like, oh, because it's Trump spending it now, it's good for us to spend the money. And every politician wants to be able to spend money because you can give out goodies to people and make people feel happy and kick the bill down the road to the next Congress, the next administration. But that's not a healthy way to run a country. That's very short-term thinking. This is giving ice cream to your kids for supper instead of actually, giving them, a balanced meal. It's almost like when you look at Congress, and the way they look at money, it's almost like we're daddy. We have the platinum card, and we're just giving it to our teenage kid. And the teenage kid already is like way over his head, drowning in debt and gambling debt and cocaine habit that he's got. It's like, oh, okay, here you go. We'll borrow more money. And we're daddy. We're just going to give you more money. This is terrible. They're very, very irresponsible in how they spent the money so far. And they're like, no, now we need to spend even more of your money. This is very unhealthy for American economics. This is a very unhealthy plan. Eventually, the adults have to come into the room. Someone's got to say, I'm adult enough to say, you know what? We might be dealing with a little bit of struggle as we tighten our belts, or we're actually going to really slash stuff. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what Doge can do and what it cannot do, what it may do, what it seems incomprehensible that it could do. I'll talk about that in a moment. Let's hear the rest of his statement here.
the position of the president, and that's what we're going to try to push for.
Are you supporting a government shutdown then?
Have a good night, guys. Thanks.
Yeah, I'm not going to weigh in on whether I'm okay with the government shutdown.
Directly? Did you communicate this and be reelected, Mr. Vance? Mr. Johnson be reelected?
So when I was on a really interesting space earlier today, and people were speculating about whether or not Mike Johnson was doing Trump's bidding. Was he going rogue here, or was he in agreement? Was he actually doing what Trump wanted him to do? I'm curious about your thoughts. You can drop a comment if you're watching afterwards. Do you think when Mike Johnson came out with this bill and basically supposedly was saying this is the bill that we want to come forward with, all the crap that was built in there, do you think that was he was actually acting with Trump's blessing? Because the bill got killed. You want to know why the bill got killed? I'll tell you why the bill got killed. Chad Pergram reporting here. GOP Kentucky Representative Barr on the continuation. The phone was ringing off the hook today. And you know why? because they were reading the tweets, the ex from Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy, and they were telling me that they were listening to him. This shows the influence that President Donald Trump, Elon Musk, and Vivek Ramaswamy have in this process before they're even in office. The American people elected Trump, and the American people want us to pay attention to that election and that election results, and so we've got to work. This is an important lesson for the new unified Republican majority that we have to work. I don't think the path forward is a skinny CR. I do think the path forward is a skinny CR where you just take the 100 pages that the Appropriations Committee produced and everything else falls out. I think that included the disaster. And that is what Trump and J.D. Vance seem to want. The continuing resolution, which is a much skinnier bill. But that continuing resolution is not a good thing. I can understand why Trump wants to have a blank check, but I don't think that we, the American people, are in a good place if we give him a blank check. Much better for us to say to him, you know what? You're taking the whole Doge thing. You need to have more money for your funding that you want to have your pet products, whatever. Fine. Go slash from somewhere. Tell Doge, go out there and slash them somewhere. But that brings us to a question. A whole bunch of questions. First, what the hell happened here with Mike Johnson promising this thing? Chuck Schumer's coming out there, making all sorts of statements saying, hey, the Republicans negotiated this. We're supposed to come forward with this bill. And there's all sorts of scuttlebutt that some Republicans are saying, well, we regret that, but we did sign off on it. Maybe we should do it. And they're going to come out with some similar type of crap bill. Then the question is, did Trump know that Johnson was going to do this? Or did Johnson go rogue? There's been a lot of PR appearances where recently he's appearing at UCF and Army versus Navy, and that you see Mike Johnson hanging out with Donald Trump. Are they talking about this stuff? I don't know what's happening. Mike Johnson is clearly a rhino, and rhinos hang out with powerful people. And right now, there's no person who can be deemed more powerful than Trump hanging out with Elon. I mean, that's definitely the cool kids table in December of 2024. So it's not surprising to see a rhino wanting to hang out with them. And we can't deny the fact that Trump historically in his first administration was not exactly a spendthrift. He was throwing the money around even before COVID hit in far too excessive ways. I was hopeful coming into the second administration he would be a little bit more budget conscious because he's not trying to win re-election any longer. You try to spend money to when you want people to like you. But he is a little bit of a narcissist, can't deny that. He wants people to like him. He wants people to remember him fondly. I don't know that he's so good at wielding a stick for our own good as far as saying I'm slashing the budget. I don't know. And that brings us to Doge. What is Doge? What is their power? What are they the capacity to do? What can they do? What can they definitely not do? All the money that their federal government spends, every penny they're spending, we just explained. That's all by appropriations bill that's signed off by Congress. All their expenditures have to be passed by a bill. So if there's a statute that says, hey, we're going to spend this much money on the military, does Doge have authority to come in and overrule that? Can they stand in the way of the military getting that money? It sounds like a fair question. Let's say they say, hey, look, this thing here that you're spending $300 million on is a complete waste of money. Military says, no, it's not. We want the money. And the bill says we can get it. Now what happens? So I was speculating when I was on the space earlier. And I was talking to a panel there with a lot of smart folks. And I was speculating, when you look at these bills here, the appropriations bills, there's certain parts which is mandatory spending and certain parts that's discretionary. Mandatory versus discretionary. If Trump was to give Doge its maximum level of powers, I still do not think he's able to authorize them to withhold money that Congress says is mandatory, must be spent on A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and those letters probably go up to 80,000 G's. Like when you go to you get to Z, then you go double A, then you go around again, triple A, So there's probably like 80,000 A's because there's so many things that they write that they should spend. But so they probably cannot, to the extent that that you have appropriations bills that call for mandatory spending. I don't know that even the president would have the authority to override that. I don't know that he would. He could have an influence in saying, I'm not going to sign off on it next year. You're going to need to spend money in 2026. You got these bills paid for in 2025. You're not going to gain the money from me going forward. Good. But if he's going to give them as much authority as possible, which we don't know that he will, but if he were so inclined to give that authority to Vivek and Elon, it's hard to imagine that they can slash anything that's not anything aside from discretionary spending, where they have a right to spend the money but not mandated to. So then the executive branch come in and say, okay, we have a right to spend it, but we're not going to. So that is an area they probably will have a far greater latitude to influence Trump into saying you're not spending that money. Perhaps. But to the degree it calls for that there's mandatory spending on these things, I don't know. Now, that's looking in the very short term. However, let's bear something in mind. These CERs, all these things are only funded for another few, are going to be funded till when? At the latest, September 1st, 2025. So he can have a great deal of influence saying we're not going to have mandatory spending quite so high on project 4063. He could do that. But yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see how Trump plays this in order to control the spending and reel it and dial it back. And there's probably going to be a lot of legal battles as to what powers he can delegate to Doge. I want to talk to you a little bit about Crenshaw's little game here in a moment. Let me just get to some of the chats. No. I don't know why I'm having a real problem here with I'm having a very, very big problem with my StreamYard. She looks like to me like first act is dissolved. Take a gander at the spending habits of the Bush administration, even the Obama administration. They have increased spending tenfold while our average salary stagnated. Yep. We could put Thomas Massey in charge of the House. We could. You think he's going to get the votes? You need to get 218 GOP people to vote for him. You think they're going to vote for him? Because I don't. You get Byron Donalds in there. Get Jim Jordan in there. There's Chip Roy. There's a lot of people who seem like they would be awesome choices. Thomas Massey's one of them. Do you think they're going to get the votes? Doesn't seem likely. This is called the big ask. He says he wants a debt ceiling increase, then counter with a clean CR, and Trump gets what he really wants. Maybe. I hope so. I don't think that they're going to be fighting against the debt ceiling increase. I think they're totally fine with it because they're just giving themselves more flexibility on the money they spend. So I don't think that it's not like there's people who's going to be fighting against him. The only people fighting against him would be Thomas Massey and a handful of other based representatives, but most would not. So I think Trump was showing Mike, if you want to stay at the cool kids table, do what I need you to do to get done. Look, we don't know how this is going to play out, but we're going to start getting a feel soon. Debt ceiling is trying to avoid the crisis. Sometimes you need a crisis. Sometimes you need a little bit of a crisis. I missed a bunch of chats, rants. Don Mannion said a long time ago, Joe, I'll keep dragging you back to earth with the humans. I'm always with the humans. I like being with the humans. Humans are good people. Well, most of them. Breck Nichols, St. Vitus dance. Thank you, brother. That was the crazy condition. He's correct. St. Vitus dance. That was it. Good job. Good job. I never would have remembered that. They all thought they were possessed. It was crazy. All right. Next, so you want to know who is behind the whole let's give ourselves a raise? Well, some folks are saying or reporting that was Dan Crenshaw, who said, hey, we need to get an increase from 174,000 to 233,000, basically a $60,000 raise. Nick Sorter reporting, new DC sources tell me that Dan Crenshaw is spearheading the effort to get a pay raise for Congress. Last week when he was asked about stock trading, Crenshaw whined that members of Congress haven't had a pay raise since 2009. Crenshaw almost got his way with a pay increase for members plus benefits being included in today's massive spending boondoggle. Recently, Crenshaw even said, you have no way to better yourself as a congressman without being able to trade stocks. That's insane. This guy is responsible for loads of the garbage we see being thrown in spending bills, all for his own benefit. Time for Eye Patch McCain to go. Let's listen to Crenshaw whining.
Vote for a ban on Congress members trading stocks?
Yeah, I mean, this is like number 1,000 on my priority list of things to care about. This is one of those stupid things that I've been dragged through the mud on. You know how much fucking money I've ever had in the stock market? About $20,000, and yet I've been dragged through the mud on this as if like there's some insider trading. I just sent a letter to Fox News, a threatening letter from my lawyers, threatening them with defamation because Jesse Waters had basically insinuated that I was insider trading. Of course, it's not true. You'd be more surprised how much little information we have. This is one of those bills that, like, of course, yeah, people support it. Yeah, sure, okay. Who cares? Because I don't have I barely have anything in the market anyway. Are there a couple cases like wherein Nancy Pelosi has some very suspicious timing of her trades? Yeah, that has happened. But nobody else can point any other examples out.
Maxine Waters all of a sudden being worth $40 million when she came into Congress being worth like $20,000.
Oh. So sure, yeah, why not? Don't let us trade stocks. How about we'll just keep whipping ourselves. How about we don't make any money either? But like, just cut our paychecks. We haven't gotten a pay raise since 2008.
So then give it up. You don't like it? Give it up. Give it up. No one's compelling you to serve in the House. Get a real job.
Even a COLA increase. So, yeah, no, actually, no, yeah, this is a great idea. Let's make Congress a place where only the millionaires can actually afford to do the job. This is a wonderful idea. Let's
give it up. Give it up.
Let's just keep doing that, because and then some it's always some member, right, who senses the populist energy and then mirrors it, believing that this is what's going to help me connect with the people. Because what do the people want? Well, they want an easy button. All my problems will be solved if there's no stock trading. All my problems will be solved if there's term limits.
Yeah, why don't we have term limits? How is it a good thing to have people in Congress for decades?
Yeah, but if you think about any of these things for 5 whole minutes,
all right, walk us through it.
You might quickly come to a different conclusion. Now,
why can't you spend 5 minutes walking us through it?
Again, what I vote for? Yeah, sure. Who cares? Who cares? Like, it doesn't matter to me because I don't have any fucking money to put in the stock market.
Woo! You seem angry, Danny boy. That report's contrary to his whole $20,000 claim. I don't know if he's I don't know if these claims are true. Lone Star American, and I don't know if this guy is legit or he's full of garbage. I have no idea. But he says this guy Dan Crenshaw lies, grifts, lectures, and we let him. Look at this. Just one example. Also, he's a crybaby. We have had issues in United Airlines, but he didn't care until his wife had an issue with it. Dan Crenshaw, spokesperson, said he's not a millionaire and barely has anything invested in the market. He's currently outperforming the market, up 110% since last year. He himself has said that without trading, you have no way to better yourself as a congressperson. He has over $150,000 invested in the market. Now, that's according to Unusual Whales. Unusual Whales is a pretty reliable source. They're a pretty reliable source for how much money people have in the stock market. So there's a very big difference between 20,000 and 150,000. Very big difference. Yeah, he doth pretend not to protest too much. Well said, Jack. Well said indeed. There's a similar mystery illness to the dancing in the herky-jerky dance from St. Vitus. Unusual Wells has listed all the best stock traders in Congress. I. Patrick McCain is not a real conservative. Yep. That's why you said that before I pulled up Unusual Wells. Good job there. Good job indeed. Anyway, so I do want to just warn you, if you're like a diehard Trump supporter. Obviously, I busted my tail doing everything I possibly could in my limited power to help get him elected. I'm hopeful he's going to be a phenomenal president. His first administration was excellent. But things he does that I don't like, I am going to call out. And raising the debt ceiling definitely falls into that category. I don't like raising the debt ceiling. Use Doge and cut. And find your money that way. It's like, like a real adult who has to live on a budget. Not just say, I'm just going to raise how much my budget is. That's ridiculous. That's not responsible government. So, all right. I think that pretty much covers it. Can I land my puppy now? Can I land this plane right here? It's time. It's his time. Patch has a palpable disdain for the people. He got very bitter. He's gotten very bitter. He's gotten very, very bitter. I used to like him a lot. And probably about 5-6 years ago, I started getting very upset with him. And then he lost me completely on Ukraine. When he stood there like a doofus in front of a bastardized American flag with those stupid little swastikas and those Ukrainian swastikas and replacing the stars. He was dead to me. Dead to me. I can't stomach anyone who stood in front of that picture. Doofuses. Humiliating. That to me, that was unforgivable. I spent a long time trying to figure out why that made me feel so revolted. So revolted. Much worse than standing in front of a Ukrainian thing. The Ukrainian flag. Much worse. You're taking our flag and bastardize that thing. And like a doofus, this guy. I appreciate his service and everything. I appreciate that. But that doesn't give you license to warp what America is. You're the freaking member of the House representing us. We put you in position to help lead our country. And you are basically treating Ukraine not as the 51st state, but as the first state. And that was... It felt like treachery. It felt like treachery. So I will never forgive that. And he's just said and done one thing after another to irk me all the more ever since. That is an easy cut right there. $1 billion on Voice of America. Boom, right there. You're fired. You're fired, VOA. You're fired. This is a good start. It is a good start. All right. I think it's time for me to land my plane. It is time. God willing, tomorrow I plan on doing a local show. That's over at goodlogic.locals.com. 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 I will see you there tomorrow. Goodlogic.locals.com. Good Lord. While you're here, please like, share, subscribe, do all that other good stuff. Great news before I get on out of here. Last thing, great news. In case you're wondering. In case you are wondering. Let's see where he's at. Let's see where he's at. Legal Advice is 101,000 subs. Huzzah. I have to tell you that when I saw that he had 100,000, I felt like a weight lifted off my shoulders. Almost like I don't know what else I can do for him at this point. So it's like that task is accomplished. And I don't know anything else. I mean, I'm in a group that's dealing with like whole memorial type of stuff, which to the extent I can participate and assist in that and promote that, I certainly will help in that. But yeah, this is one thing that I wanted to get checked off here. So anyway, that's my show and I'm sticking to it. I will see you all on Locals tomorrow. Goodlogic.locals.com. Lab meat is for they, them, not for you. Lab meat, they, them, not you. Not you. There's one more thing I need to do. Oh my God, I almost forgot. Yesterday, I was supposed to give a mystery gift. The mystery gift I was planning on giving y'all was that I wanted to...
Female empowerment.
Why? Go. Yeah, what I wanted to do is I wanted to share with you, what's this? I was going to gift. I promised yesterday I was supposed to give a mystery prize, and we did hit our goal yesterday. I noticed that we hit our goal. I never gave that, so I'm going to take care of that now. And that is, I'm going to gift 5 memberships into the following. Let's do that now. Who do we bring on in here? 5 new members. 5 new members. Following 5 people brought into the following, courtesy of yours truly. That includes Jimmy Ray. Welcome to the following. Dust in the Wind. I hit you. Colostomy Bag, Michael Ravel, and Chicago Jan, all of them brought into the following, courtesy of, there you go, yours truly. Welcome to the following. Please bear in mind that even though you're gifted by me, and even though I sit here yabbering away the entire time, I am not the leader of the following. I'm just your host. But welcome aboard. Ah, look at that. Master Phillips hit me with 5 also. Who'd you bring me? Master Phillips. I'll give you one of these. 5 people brought in courtesy of Master Phillips. That includes Tex Caliber, Sunset Gazing, Matt Governor, Cheddar, Freeheart, and Dysana, as well as Sherry Ward. All you, please express your gratitude to Matt Skinner, for bringing you to the following. The following, which is just a community of like-minded individuals who are concerned about greater personal growth. See, the king comes in, he steps up. The king comes in, and king recruitment steps up, and the next thing you know, the queen follows suit. The queen follows suit. And the following 5 people gifted courtesy of the Bella Stella Queen of Recruitment. Bring in here Stephen Farrington, J.M. Sparger, Lisa Walters, Warren Moffat, and Marv N. brought in courtesy of the Queen of Recruitment. Those of you who are gifted, please thank your sponsor who now brought you into community that is not at all a cult type of cult. Is no spaceships, no tracksuits, no Kool-Aid, no throwing virgins into volcanoes, no dancing around bonfire. It's no goat sacrifices, no squirrel mutilations. It's just about community, unity, leadership training. Welcome to the following. God bless you, and may your endeavors be fruitful, prosperous, and bring you inner peace. Not mandatory tracksuits, Malcolm. They're not mandatory. They're just not mandatory. And finally, Matt Skinner hitting with 5. Hit me with 5. 5 new members of the following. Those 5 people, the final 5 people brought in here are Roberto Ortiz, Muffin Rando, Lauren Cremens, Michael Crandall, and Astro gifted courtesy of Matt Skinner. God bless you as well, Matt Skinner. Cat Matt, get you high tonight, and bring you on in. Bring it on home now. Bring it on. Did I have anything else? No, I think that was it. I think that was it. I appreciate you guys stepping in last minute there, by the way. Seriously. I'm heading on out. So I say thank you all, and I'll see you tomorrow. Till then, good night. Don't eat the bugs. Do not eat the bugs. Godspeed.